What is going on? It is January 8th, 2025. Brand new year, brand new us. Or at least that's what we're hoping for, right? Because it's the beginning of the year, we all have more than likely set some type of goal to make some type of change. New Year's resolutions. A lot of us are trying to get in shape. A lot of us want to make more money. A lot of us want to have better relationships. Some of us want to become content creators. Some of us want to write books. Sometimes some of us want to get promotions at work, whatever it might be. Some of us might want to travel. Whatever it is that we want, it's going to require a change. And in order for us to change, we have to change our habits. If you change your habits, you change your life. This is something I've heard over and over again in the hundreds of self-development books I've read. So me understanding that logically this makes sense, very, very early in my self-development journey, I was about 22 at the time, this is probably about 13 years ago, I decided to start studying habit formation, or at least look up habit formation, how to form a new habit. What is the science of changing your habits? Because changing habits is a little bit tough. And the first thing I ever found was BJ Fogg's Tiny Habit TED Talk. And it was a great video. But the premise of the video was to forget big change and instead start with a tiny habit. Now, for me at the time, I was 22, very, very impatient. Tiny habit didn't sound sexy enough for me because at the time, I was 22 at the time, so I was studying self-development for 2 years. I started at 20. I was really, really, really into Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins' things was all about taking massive action, radical change. And that was the sexy thing to me. That was the fascinating thing to me. That was the thing I wanted to hear because I was very, very young, super motivated, super energetic. That's what I wanted. I wanted to make a quick change to get fast results. And even though this never stuck with me, because every day I would wake up, I would get super motivated. I would work hard for a couple of days, take massive action, and then day 4 would come. Once the enthusiasm wore off, I just stopped. And I did this for months. I did this for years. So me, I continued to read books, continue to study self-development. And a lot of the times, my protocol at the time was to read books, but not to apply. And for me, this was very, very frustrating. Like, why can't I just take the action? Why can't I just do the things I know that I have to do? Like, these are things we all know what we have to do. Like right now, for the new year, 2025, we all have goals. You all know what you have to do. And more than likely, because it's already January 8th, a week has gone by, a lot of us probably already gave up. Maybe on January 1st, January 2nd, we were super motivated, but by January 3rd and 4th, it starts to get a little bit annoying. It becomes inconvenient to do the things that we got to do in order for us to achieve the things that we want to achieve. So what ends up happening is we stop. And for me, somebody who's been studying self-development for 15 years, I realize how hard it is. And for me also, I've been a personal trainer for a really, really long time. I noticed that my clients do the same exact thing. One of the things I noticed a lot with my clients is like, they would work with me, train with me for about 3 months, spend a whole bunch of money on me, start to lose a good amount of weight, stop paying me, quit. As they quit, they'll tell me, oh, I'm going to continue to do what you told me to do, not do it. Then come back 6 months later, more overweight than they were before. And then we would start the protocol all over again. It was like we would apply something, stop, go backwards, and then apply again. So for me, this is very, very frustrating because this mirrored my self-development journey for years. Like every year I would just read books, get super motivated. I read so many books, but I just couldn't make the change. Until one day, this was maybe late 2019, I found the book. I found a discovery, just like every great story. It was a discovery. Now, this was the end of 2019. The book that I found was Atomic Habits by James Clear. And now I'm a little bit older. I was close to 2019. I was 30 years old, a little bit more mature. As I'm reading Atomic Habits, which is all about basically the same thing as BJ Fogg's Tiny Habit YouTube TED Talk video, it was about making little tiny habits, little shifts. Like the premise of Atomic Habits, the book was first you have to establish a habit into your brain. And once you establish the habit, you can start to optimize it. And now that I was older, back in 2019, early 2020, as I'm reading this, I'm like, wow, this makes so much sense. But I don't have that much time at the time, I thought, because I was a full-time trainer. I was working like 60, 70 hours a week. But then the world changed. I got the biggest breakthrough, the biggest break. March 15th, 2020, New York shuts down. Completely shuts down. Actually, the whole freaking world shuts down. And after initial anxiety for the first couple of days, because the two gyms that I worked at, they closed down, so I wasn't sure if I was going to get paid. After initial anxiety, I was able to collect unemployment. And at the time, they were giving those extra $600 a week checks. So for me, I was collecting regular unemployment and the extra $600 a week checks. So for me, that was about $4,600 a month. $4,600 a month, and my cost of living at the time was probably around $2,500. So I was set. So not only was I getting paid, but I had all the free time in the world. All the free time in the world. And then on top of that, I had found another YouTube video called The 20-Hour Rule, which was basically saying that although it takes 10,000 hours to master something, it only takes 20 deliberate hours to get really good at something. So me reading Atomic Habits, also, watching the 20-Hour Rule, I was like, wow, this is the perfect time for me to develop so many skills. Because at the time, what I wanted to do was I wanted to develop an online presence. I wanted to build a social media following. I wanted to get used to doing this, speaking to the camera consistently. I wanted to have a consistent writing habit. I wanted to learn how to make offers. I wanted to study marketing. There was all these things I wanted to do. Now I have all the time in the world, and realizing that it only takes 20 hours to get good at something with the science of Atomic Habits, I literally did the math. I was like, wait, 20 hours, if I divide that by 365, that's only 4 minutes a day. If I divide that by 6 months, that's 8 minutes a day. So it would only take me 8 minutes a day over the course of 6 minutes. Over the course of 6 months, and I could get super good at something. So now I have the perfect time. I have all the time in the world. And unfortunately, even though Atomic Habits logically makes sense, in 2020, I failed. Initially, I got super, super excited about all of this, building up all these skills, having all the time in the world. And I literally didn't go back to work until October of 2020. So I literally had 6 months of free time, getting paid to do nothing. And I still couldn't get these habits to stick. So I started to rationalize with myself. October 2020, I was like, you know what? I give up. There's no point. I'll never be as successful as I want. And I started to think things were just biological. Like some people had it, others don't. And unfortunately, I felt like at the time, maybe, just maybe, I was part of the others. Because for some reason, I couldn't just do the things that I had to do. I knew exactly what it is I wanted to do. And maybe you feel that way too. Because today, all the information is out there. You can literally Google anything or chat GPT anything, and it'll tell you exactly how to get what you want. And if you actually just follow the simple steps and do the simple steps and get into the habit of doing the steps, more than likely you'll get your result. But for some reason, for me, I just couldn't do it. And maybe I just thought maybe some people are just meant to be successful, others aren't. And at the time, a good thing that happened for me in 2020 was I became more spiritual. I read books like The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender by David Hawkins. And I figured I just work with that, learning how to let go of my desires and all of this stuff and let go of my traumas and just be loose and be free and be happy with having nothing. Just be happy with my existence. Just live a spiritual existence. Just meditate. Just be a person who lives with gratitude for every single thing. And I was honestly just trying to rationalize on myself. Maybe I should just do this. I was just giving myself excuses on why I couldn't achieve the things that I wanted. Because deep down, secretly, I still wanted that stuff. I still wanted to have a lot of money, be able to travel the world, be financially free, be my own boss, have my own products, have my own YouTube channel, have my own Instagram page. I deep down, I still wanted all of that stuff, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't get myself to consistently do the things that I have to do in order for me to achieve the things that I want to achieve. So, like I said, I gave up until one day another story came. Another story. This is what I love: stories, lessons. May 31st, 2023, about a year and a half ago, my best friend, Fred Gilmore, hits me up. Now, Fred hits me up. He sends me a text. He's like, hey, for the month of June 2023, let's just do 100 push-ups every day. Let's record it and let's send it to each other. And at the time, I laughed because 100 push-ups for me and Fred, that's nothing for us. 100 push-ups take me about 5 minutes. In fact, it's actually an atomic habit. It's a small habit. But Fred's reasoning was he just wanted to keep in touch with me because at the time, even though Fred is my best friend, at the time, we had a habit, and when I say we, I mean me. I had the habit of just missing his phone calls and never calling him back. And even though he was my best friend, I only spoke to him like twice a year, if that. And then I only seen him once every few years. And in fact, this is actually, give me a second. This is in fact a voicemail he actually left me one time. Let's see if I can pull it up.
Louis, it's Frederick. Please give me a call back when you get the chance. Or after you're done foam rolling, or taking an ice bath, or a cold shower, or even stretching. If you can make me one of those priorities, just include me for 5 minutes of your day, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Bye.
So Fred is a very, very big man. So he was agitated there. And Fred's not somebody I want to piss off. But what was cool was he just wanted to keep in touch with me. So by me and him sending each other videos of us doing 100 push-ups every day for the month of June back in 2023, I thought it was a cool challenge. It wasn't that big of a deal. It'll only take me maybe 5 minutes to do. And me personally, I was surprised he didn't say 500, but he just wanted to keep in touch. And it was cool because as we were doing it, that first week, we were sending each other the videos. We were texting each other, and we actually spoke on the phone twice that week just to keep in touch. And Fred, he had just got out the military. He did 14 years of service. He was making six figures, but the reason why he got out was because he actually opened up a restaurant, and the restaurant was doing really, really well that he was able to get out the military. So he left a six-figure job in the military to do what he was doing with his restaurant, to open up more restaurants. Today, he has about 10 restaurants open. So it was cool that he just wanted to link up with me and talk to me and keep in touch with me. But after that first week of doing 100 push-ups, even though it was super easy, what I found by the second week was I was starting to get annoyed. Meaning, like, I started to find the push-ups very, very inconvenient. And noticing this, I was like, oh, why am I feeling this way? It's just 100 push-ups. This is really, really easy. But for whatever reason, I'm getting annoyed with doing the habit. It's like the newness of it kind of wore off. But I continued to do it because Fred's the type of person that would like come at me if I didn't send him the videos. So he really, 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 really kept me accountable. So the second week goes by, I'm still doing the 100 push-ups. And then the third week, what I noticed was I was no longer annoyed. I was just bored. I was super bored. And it was like, I was like starting to debate whether or not I should ask him, maybe we should add something to the push ups to make it more interesting, to make it more spicy, to make it more fun, to make it more novel, to make it more new. But I decided not to. I just noted the feeling that, oh, okay, I'm bored. Just do it anyway. I'm in the habit of doing the push ups. I've been doing it for 15, 16 straight days. Just keep doing it. Then I had a breakthrough. I think it was on the 27th day of doing the push ups. I started to actually notice results in my chest and in my triceps. Now, for good measure, I did not think doing 100 push ups a day I would see any results. But because I did push ups, so that was maybe about 2,700 push ups at the time for the month, I started to get excited because I was like, oh shit, I actually see results. I've been doing this for 27 straight days. And then I made it to day 30. And then for the month of July, we came up with a new challenge. And I don't really remember what the new challenge was, but I do remember doing this because we've been doing this every month since June of 2023. It is now January 2025, where we always have a challenge, some type of workout challenge. I do remember each freaking month, as I would do the challenge, I would get excited first, starting the new habit. Then I would get annoyed because now it's starting to become inconvenient because the enthusiasm is wearing off. It's starting to become inconvenient, it's starting to get annoying. Then by the third week, I would get bored. Then by the fourth week, I would actually have a breakthrough and see some type of result with what I'm doing. And then I noticed that this is why I couldn't stick to my atomic habits. Because although atomic habits logically makes sense, atomic habits logically make sense, human beings are not logical. We're emotional. We're very, 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 very emotional. Meaning, if we feel annoyed, if we feel bored, our feelings dictates 9 times out of 10 what we do. If you feel a certain way, you're not going to, if you feel bad about doing something, you're more than likely not going to do it unless there's a consequence. And for me, the consequence was hearing my friend Fred talk shit. So I realized, oh, this is why I couldn't stick to my atomic habits. So I wanted to actually test this out. So what I did was I started to do these challenges with other people, other friends, other clients to see if they would do it. And the same thing happened. All of them would start the challenge. So at one point I had like 7 or 8 people sending me recordings of them doing a small little workout. But by like the 4th or 5th day, majority of them quit. And the only person that continued to do it to this day is my brother Michael. But everybody else just quit, even though the challenge was super, super easy. For one guy, he had the challenge of just he would tie this thing around his neck and do like neck extensions, like 2 sets of 10, and literally had it right by his bed. And he just couldn't stick to it. And when I would ask people, why couldn't you stick with the challenge? When I asked my clients, when I asked my friends, why couldn't you stick with the challenge? They all said the same thing. Either it just became inconvenient, either they forgot, or they just got bored with it. It just wasn't interesting to them. Initially it was. And that's when I realized that these are the emotional phases of building a habit. And if we understand these phases, and we understand that this is what we're supposed to feel while we're doing something or while we're starting something, if we have an awareness that this is going to happen, as long as we have the awareness like this is how I'm supposed to feel, just do it anyway and just keep going, because eventually you're going to have a breakthrough. This is how you get the habits to actually stick. So for me, I got excited in 2024, last year at the start. I said, yo, I'm going to start doing all of these habits, these little small, tiny habits like making videos, making Instagram videos, writing, working on my social skills, working on studying marketing books. But I'm going to do it in tiny habits like Atomic Habits talked about, but understanding that the emotions that I'm going to be going through as I'm doing these tiny habits, I could get stuff to stick. And that's what I did for the year of 2024. I even started my own LLC, my own little business. And right now I'm working on a product that I really think could actually make a huge change in the way people feel. It's actually called the Anxiety Release Breakthrough System. But what I want to do right now, because I realize I'm 20 minutes into the video, what I want to do right now is talk to you what I call the 4 emotional phases of a habit. And what I want you to realize is that building a new habit is very, very similar to getting into a new relationship. What do I mean by this? If you ever look at people when they first get together, they go through what you call the honeymoon phase. They're excited, they're enthused. Now, if you ever see a new couple, they're all over each other. They're taking selfies, they're posting on social media, they're excited, they're buying each other flowers, they're presenting their best self, they're super, super excited. But what happens 2 months later? Usually you see all those social media pictures taken down, they're broken up. And usually what happens is they probably end up, if they're lucky, they hook up with somebody else and do the cycle again. So what I want you to do is start looking at your habits, the habits that you're trying to form in the year 2025 as a relationship. And I'm going to talk about the 4 emotional phases of building a habit. First phase is the honeymoon phase. When you first start something new, you're going to be excited. You're going to be enthused. You're going to want to do it. You're going to look forward to doing it. But what I want you to realize when you start a new habit, that feeling is not going to last forever. Just like a new relationship. It's not going to last forever. So that's phase 1. The phase 1 is the honeymoon phase, the enthusiasm phase, the excitement phase. You're going to look forward to it. But what's phase 2? Phase 2, just like a relationship, when that initial enthusiasm wears off, you're going to get annoyed. Your new habit is going to become inconvenient. Waking up early in the morning to go to the gym is going to start to feel inconvenient. You're going to start to get annoyed, just like a relationship. When that initial enthusiasm wears off in a new relationship, what happens is couples start to get really, really annoyed with each other. And usually this is where 90+%, I would say almost 99% of people quit, is in the second phase. They start to get annoyed with the new habit. They start to get annoyed with that person. Now, if you understand that this is going to happen, that by the second week you're going to start to get annoyed and just decide to keep going anyways, you'll get to the third phase. What is the third phase of building a new habit? The emotional phase is boredom. You start to get bored. Just like in a relationship, couples start to get used to each other. And what happens is, as they get used to each other, they start to get bored. And because they get bored, they start to look elsewhere. They start to think, maybe this person isn't for me. Maybe I should look over here. This guy, ooh, he entertains me. He's exciting. Or this girl over here, she entertains me. In the third phase, when you're bored with your new habit, you start to get shiny object syndrome. What is shiny object syndrome? You start to think that this habit is not for you. I want to try something new. You want something new. And that's what happened to me with the push-ups. If you remember, by the third week, I started wanting to add to it. I started wanting to make it more spicy, more sexy, more attractive again. I wanted to add something to it. And this is, again, if you could get to this boredom phase and just decide to keep on going, you'll get to the 4th phase, which is I call the milestone phase, where you actually start to see results from your new habit. So for me, it was, if you remember with the push-ups, by the 27th or 28th day, I started to actually see results. And because I saw the results, I actually got excited again. I started to get enthused again about the habit. I'm like, oh my God, I'm starting to see results. But what I realize now is if you continue to go, the cycle is going to start all over. Once you get the results, you're going to be enthusiastic again. Then once the enthusiasm wears off because you get used to the new results, you're going to start to get annoyed again. Then you're going to get bored again. Then you're going to see another results. And the cycle is going to keep on going on and on and on. But that's how you build a habit, is understand that these emotions, your emotions is just like the weather. Not every day it's going to be sunny. Some days it's going to be rainy. Some days it's going to be stormy. Some days there's going to be a snowstorm. Some days it's going to be too hot. Some days it's going to be too cold. Not every day the temperature is going to be just right. And if you understand these 4 phases, these 4 emotional phases of building a habit, it could truly change your life. If you understand that, yes, you're going to get annoyed. Yes, you're going to get bored, but just keep fucking going. Just keep doing the work. Just keep doing the process. Focus on the next step. And if you continue to focus on the next step, you'll eventually have a milestone. You'll eventually have a breakthrough to where you start to see results. But take your time with it. Understand that this is going to happen to you. Don't quit just because you're bored. Don't quit because it's inconvenient and you're starting to get annoyed. Just keep on going. And if you keep on going, you could drastically change your life in the year 2025. You could start to make more money, do new things, create new things, make maybe even your own business, start your own side hustle, maybe develop your relationship with your family even further, better. Maybe you could travel more. All of these things could happen in 2025 if you understand that if you change your habits, you'll change your lives. But start with a tiny habit. Understand the phases, the emotional phases you're going to be going through while you're trying to ingrain this habit into your brain. And if you understand that and follow Atomic Habits, if you haven't read that book, read that book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a game changer logically as far as the steps. The steps is perfect. But if you also understand this, the emotional phases of building a new habit, which means you're going to be excited at first, just like a new relationship. That's the honeymoon phase. The second step is you're going to start to get annoyed. It's going to be inconvenient for you. You're not going to want to do it anymore, right? If you could just keep going, then the next step is the boredom stage. You're going to be bored. And Atomic Habits actually talks about this, where if you could just master boredom and just keep on going, eventually you have a breakthrough. But if you understand that human beings are very, very emotional, and if you have that awareness that this is what's supposed to happen, you could have a breakthrough in the year 2025. So hopefully I helped you. Hopefully I wasn't too all over the place. If I was, oh well, this is for me too. But if you liked the video, please like. Also, comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you didn't like. Also, if you have a friend who's trying to make a change, send them this video. And also, if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now. Peace.